This Montreal Canadiens trade pitch sending Jonathan Huberdeau back home to Quebec has Habs fans riled up, and it also has major implications against the cap, the roster, the lineup, and I'm going to break it all down for you guys coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into it, we got to say that 70% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you want to stay up to date on everything happening around the NHL heading into the season, make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. But with that said, before we get into the Huberdeau trade pitch, we got something else to talk about, and that is Reinbacher is ready. And yes, this is something that a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans have been looking forward to since we drafted the guy. We've been wanting David Reinbacher to continue his development, become an even better defenseman than he is right now, because he's already very solid. And today we got a couple of comments from David Reinbacher in an interview where he talked about his progression, where he stands with the team, and we're going to jump right into him here now. First one, the reporter asked, do you think you're ready for the next step? He said, of course I'm ready for that next step. I mean, that's what you got to do. That's your job. So you got to be ready every single day to get to that next level. The next thing he said here when asked, how does it feel to have that Canadiens jersey back on? He said, it's the best feeling. That's what you dream of. It's nice to be back, seeing all the guys, talk to them, having fun together. We're reaching for big stuff here. And these are some great comments to come out of such a young guy here in David Reinbacher, who is still trying to find his way into this lineup, where eventually the pairing of the future is obviously him alongside Lane Hutson, and that's what everybody is looking forward to. But now we're just taking the precautions, taking the right steps to put David Reinbacher on that right path. And it seems like we are. I mean, he got into 11 games in the AHL last year where he had a few points but looked very solid defensively. That's what he is. He's a 6'3" big body defenseman. He's that shutdown defenseman of the future for Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens, and we're all really excited about it. I think having him paired up alongside the offensive guy in Lane Hutson, a guy who kind of reminds me a little bit of a young PK Subban in Montreal, this pairing will be amazing. I can't wait to see this happen. But to hear from Reinbacher that, you know, he's working towards this, he's feeling good, he feels great to talk to the team and be around the guys again. It's just great to hear this, because when you're happy in the situation you are in, you want to do whatever you can to get back into that situation full time. And I think we're going to see a great camp out of David Reinbacher here. Do I suspect him to make the roster for opening night? Not yet. He is still only 19 years old, but you get him down in the AHL again for a few games, knock the rust off, see how he's playing down there, and if you think he has that chance to jump up in this roster full time, you definitely got to take a stab at it, because I think this is going to be a great season for David Reinbacher, just for his development in general. But getting him up in the big club in a season where Montreal are going to be competing, they're not going to be competing for a cup, but they're definitely going to have a lot more competitive team than they did last season. I think bringing him up and just getting that NHL experience will definitely help him along his journey to become a full-time Montreal Canadian. I'm really excited for this. It's just great to hear that Reinbacher is feeling good and working towards that end goal, and it's just great to hear. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on David Reinbacher. Do you think we'll see him opening night? What point throughout the season do you think we'll see him? Let me know down below in the comment section. We're going to get into this crazy trade proposal that I found today. Obviously, this trade is wild, and yes, there's been a number of trades coming out now for the Montreal Canadiens since, they are over the cap just a little bit, and they need to trade a guy like a Dvorak or an Armia, David Savard to become cap compliant. But today, we got a trade pitch from Heavy that put Jonathan Huberdeau in the scope of the Montreal Canadiens. We're just going to take a look at it. We got Jonathan Huberdeau coming to Montreal at $3 million retained salary, which would put him at $7.5 million against the cap for the next 7 years, I believe it is, and a 2025 second-round pick, where on the other side, we got Christian Dvorak and a first-round pick going for Jonathan Huberdeau. And this is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe that we are talking about this today, because, I mean, sending a first-round pick for a 31-year-old Jonathan Huberdeau who's just been on a steady decline is an insane trade to talk about. You don't need to give up a first round pick to bring in Jonathan Huberdeau. I get it, you're sweetening the deal here by getting them to retain the $3 million over the next 7 years. I mean, his contract right now is an 8-year deal. He's just going into the second year of it, and this contract has him signed till he is 38 years old. So it is a risky trade for Kent Hughes. They do have the picks to work with, no doubt about it. But they also, they have a young roster of guys here that I'm not necessarily sure that you need to bring the big star in Huberdeau to Montreal. Would I love to see it? 100%. Bringing the Quebec native back to his home province to play professionally with the Montreal Canadiens. I think that would give him a little bit extra edge. The thing you can to debate on here is obviously these are two guys, Dvorak and Huberdeau, who haven't played as well under their new contracts, and maybe they're both looking for greener pastures to just refresh their game, get a fresh landscape to become the players that they want to be. And getting Huberdeau to Montreal, yes, it would be great, and for Dvorak, I think it would be great to see him on the Flames as well, but getting a first-round pick involved here is nonsense. It's tomfoolery. I can't believe we're talking about a first-round pick for Jonathan Huberdeau. Yes, you do have one to work with, because you have 2 picks for the first round in 2025, but you don't want to necessarily use one of these on a 31-year-old player. And if we just look at Jonathan Huberdeau's stats, obviously 3 seasons ago, he did have that monster 115-point season, then got traded to Calgary, where over the last couple of seasons, I believe he had like 55 points, and then he had like 50, just above 50 points. So he is looking, he's on a decline a bit, and, you can make the argument for, maybe he doesn't have the players around him to make that point production like he did in Florida. But I do think this guy is also a great player, a great defensive forward. I think he's overlooked a little bit in regards to his defensive play. But it's hard to say what I think about this trade, because I do like it in the sense we're getting a big star in Huberdeau, but then you also got to take into the fact that this is going to take against the cap, because you're bringing a guy for $7.5 million for the next 7 years. That is a lot of money to dish out to a 31-year-old player over the next 7 years. But you can make the argument again that, maybe bringing him in, adding that veteran presence will help the Montreal Canadiens, because they do have a young team. They're guys like Brendan Gallagher, Josh Anderson, the older guys on the team, Armia, Savard, are aging, and maybe we're looking to move on from some of these guys. So bringing in another veteran to get rid of a veteran is a good play. But it is definitely very shocking to hear this, because where do you put him in this lineup? Because obviously you got that top line of Slav, Suzuki, and Caulfield. You don't want to break that up. Then we got that the line we're all fired up about this year, which is Newhook, Doc, and Laine. Since they traded for him, that's going to be an awesome line. So do you really want to put Jonathan Huberdeau on your third line? Probably not. I think you could make do with him on this second line with Doc and Laine, and I think having Huberdeau with the passing skills he has, setting up Patrick Laine, will be really fun to watch. But is it really worth taking that risk of taking on all this cap for the next 7 years? I don't think it is. And also, bringing that first round pick again, it doesn't make sense. I think you could make away with getting Jonathan Huberdeau for maybe a David Savard packaged with Dvorak and a prospect. I think that makes the most sense. Maybe you throw a Logan Mailloux in there, one of these guys that they got in the pipeline that are looking very promising to sweeten the deal for that $3 million retained salary. But I think this is a ridiculous trade. I don't think it's going to happen at all, but it is definitely one to keep your eye on, because it is very interesting. If we seen Jonathan Huberdeau in Montreal, I think this would put the chances of Montreal up quite a bit. I think he would refresh his game in Montreal. He'd have the little bit of extra edge playing in his home province, wanting to be a success for the local fans, for the Montreal Canadiens in general. I think that would be awesome to see, but I'm gonna hear your guys' thoughts on all of this, on this trade down below in the comment section. Do you think this is one that you would go for, or what are some tweaks that you would make to this trade for it to actually go through? We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that down below in the comment section. We're gonna hit everybody's favorite topic here on the channel, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to our boy Jay Mondo. This has been a guy who's been supporting us here for quite some time. I want to give you a huge shout out here, Jay Mondo. Love seeing your comments on the videos. He says, finally, talking about Yanni Hakanpää signing yesterday, if he's 80% healthy, it's a steal of a move for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think I have to agree with Mondo here. I'm a big Yanni Hakanpää guy. I've had him in my fantasy hockey league over these last couple of years. He's just a fantasy beast by getting those block shots and those hits. He's such a great defensive, physical defenseman, and I think he's going to work out great in Toronto if he can stay healthy. But appreciate the comment, Jay Mondo. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure down below, hit that like button. It helps push these videos out to all the NHL fans on YouTube. Also, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road for 5,000 subscribers here before the season starts. So if you're not subscribed, love to see you guys hitting that subscribe button. And comment on the video. You might be featured on the next comment of the day, just like our buddy Jay Mondo was today. And if you want to check out a video we did yesterday, it'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC. We'll catch you in the next one.